Have you ever been part of a project with multiple teams, all contributing to one big complex product,
Oh, yeah.
and felt that sheer weight, trying to keep everything perfectly in sync?
Mm-hmm. The communication breakdowns, the hidden dependencies that just pop up.
Exactly. Suddenly derail everything. And that constant struggle to get all those pieces integrated just right.
It's tough, really tough. For many, it's integration hell, as they say.
Totally. Well, today, we're taking a deep dive into a framework specifically designed to tackle those very challenges. Nexus.
That's right. It's a scaled Scrum framework created by Ken Schwaber.
One of the co-creators of Scrum itself.
The very same. And it's maintained by scrum.org.
So what's our mission today with Nexus?
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack exactly how Nexus empowers a group of Scrum teams, multiple teams, to work together seamlessly on a single product.
Right. Getting past those tangled dependencies.
Exactly. Making integration, a smooth, predictable highway, not a nightmare intersection. We'll explore its purpose, the theory behind it, which is pretty interesting,
Wow.
and its core elements, the accountabilities, events, and artifacts. We're pulling this straight from the official Nexus guide.
Good stuff?
Yeah. The goal is to provide you, the listener, with a clear, concise understanding of how this framework lets organizations scale product delivery without losing those core Scrum benefits.
Agility, empiricism,
Yeah.
the good stuff.
Precisely.
Okay, let's peel back that first layer then. What exactly is Nexus at its heart? Why isn't it just another, big framework trying to boil the ocean?
That's a good way to put it.
Mm.
At its core, Nexus is a scaled Scrum framework, and it's specifically tailored for, say, 3 to 9 Scrum teams collaborating on one single product backlog. One single product.
3 to 9. That's quite specific.
It is. And what's really fascinating, I think, is that it's designed as a minimal extension of core Scrum. It's not trying to replace Scrum.
Not a replacement.
No. Its fundamental purpose is to manage those really tricky dependencies between the teams while absolutely preserving Scrum's foundational principles and values.
Commitment, focus, openness.
Respect, courage, all of them. It's about scaling Scrum, not sort of abandoning it or watering it down.
That's what makes it so intriguing to me, this idea of minimal extension. Because, so many scaled approaches out there feel like they throw the baby out with the bathwater.
They do. They fundamentally alter core Scrum sometimes.
Right. So why is preserving that foundational Scrum design so critical for Nexus? And what's maybe the biggest challenge in achieving that minimal intervention?
Yeah, that's a crucial point. Preserving Scrum's core design is vital because Scrum itself is built on empiricism.
Making decisions based on what you see, not just guessing.
Exactly. Observation and experience, not speculation. And it's 3 pillars: transparency, inspection, and adaptation.
The pillars.
If you alter that foundation too much, you just lose the very agility you're trying to scale in the first place.
It stops being Scrum.
Pretty much. Nexus aims to ensure that even with multiple teams, these 3 pillars aren't diluted, but actually amplified.
Amplified, interesting.
Yeah. And the biggest challenge in maintaining that minimal intervention, I'd say it's resisting the urge to just add more process.
Right. More roles, more meetings.
Exactly. More ceremonies than are absolutely necessary. Nexus fundamentally trusts the teams to figure a lot out.
Okay.
So the framework's purpose is laser-focused on one critical outcome: consistently delivering a done integrated increment.
Done and integrated.
Yes, at least once per sprint.
Right.
And this isn't just about, does the code compile? It means all the individual team contributions actually work together as a cohesive, potentially shippable product.
Like the orchestra analogy you used, all sections in sync.
Exactly. Perfectly in sync, creating one symphony ready for the audience, ready for stakeholders. This ensures scaled Scrum stays true to itself. It doesn't try to prescribe big organizational restructuring.
No reorg needed.
Not necessarily dictated by Nexus, no. Instead, it provides very specific mechanisms to identify and resolve those cross-team dependencies through what the guide calls bottom-up intelligence.
Bottom-up intelligence. I like that.
It challenges that common, often top-down approach to scaling, where solutions are kind of imposed from above. Nexus, instead, trusts the very teams doing the work to surface and resolve the intricate dependencies. It makes agility real at scale.
Which is crucial, like you said, for anyone trying to get Faster, more reliable delivery with multiple teams?
Absolutely critical for you if that's your goal.
So if the purpose is about integrated increments and this bottom-up intelligence, what's the theory underpinning it all? How does this translate to solving real-world product development headaches?
Well, Nexus theory is really all about preserving and enhancing that foundational Scrum idea. Bottom-up intelligence and empiricism.
Transparency, inspection, adaptation again.
You got it. Nexus elevates this by making sure that even with, say, 5, 6, 7 teams, those pillars aren't weakened, but, like we said, amplified. The whole goal is to scale the value delivered.
Not just the number of people working.
Precisely. Scaling value delivered by these Scrum teams working on a single product, specifically by reducing the complexity and the collaboration challenges that just naturally rise when you have many hands in the pot.
Makes sense.
And Nexus directly addresses some of the most, frustrating scaling challenges, like reducing those infamous cross-team dependencies that cause so much friction.
The ones that kill flow.
Totally. And preserving individual team self-management and transparency and ensuring clear accountability across the board.
Okay.
The guide highlights that dependencies often pop up from 2 main mismatches. One is in your product structure itself.
How you sliced up the product.
Yeah, how independently different concerns are separated within the product. And 2, mismatches in your communication structure.
Which leads to delays in feedback.
Exactly. Delays in feedback, coordination problems. Nexus offers a structured way to confront and resolve these, not just manage them, but actively try to remove them where possible.
I love that less is more point on scaling. It really is counterintuitive for so many leaders. They just think more people, faster delivery.
It's a default reaction, isn't it?
Yeah. Can you give an example, maybe a common scenario where just adding more people clearly made things more complex, not less?
Oh, absolutely. It's a trap many organizations fall into, unfortunately. Imagine a software company, right? Trying to speed up development on some critical new feature.
Okay.
They have one team. It's a good team, but maybe not fast enough for the business. The knee-jerk reaction.
Throw more bodies at it. Add 2 more teams.
Bingo. Now you have 3 teams, maybe all touching the same code base, all trying to build towards the same feature set.
Right.
Without a structured framework like Nexus, what often happens is instead of 3 times the output, you get maybe 3 times the communication overhead.
Merge conflict.
Oh, the merge conflicts. And just a dizzying number of new dependencies emerging daily, sometimes hourly.
So they spend all their time coordinating.
Pretty much. Suddenly, those 3 teams are spending more time coordinating and untangling each other's work than actually building value. They've effectively slowed down the entire delivery pipeline.
Wow.
That's the exact scenario where increasing team size can actually increase complexity, multiply dependencies, ramp up collaboration needs, and just make communication pathways incredibly tangled.
So the guy's point about scaling down sometimes.
Yeah, the guide actually says scaling down can be important for delivering more value. Nexus provides opportunities to look at your processes, your product structure, your communication structure, and actively reduce or even remove dependencies.
That's a real aha moment.
It should be, especially for you if you've ever faced those pitfalls of just adding heads to solve a problem, only to find the problem got, well, bigger and messier.
Okay, with that theory grounding us, how does Nexus actually do all this? How does it work in practice? It has to start with who's responsible for what, right? So accountabilities. Who are the key players?
Right. Nexus builds on Scrum by enhancing those familiar foundational elements. It adds specific but minimal extensions to deal with those dependency and collaboration issues. We can break these practical changes down into 3 key areas: accountabilities, events, and artifacts.
Got it. So first up, accountabilities.
The main additional accountability in Nexus is the Nexus Integration Team, or NIT.
The NIT, okay.
This team is singularly accountable. That's important for ensuring a done integrated increment is produced at least once every single sprint.
The focal point for integration.
Exactly. It acts as that focal point, addressing both technical and maybe non-technical cross-functional constraints that might get in the way of delivering that constantly integrated piece of work.
And who's on it?
Its composition is crucial. It includes the product owner.
Makes sense. Single product backlog owner.
Yep. A Scrum Master who ensures the Nexus framework itself is understood and enacted correctly. This Scrum Master might also serve as a Scrum Master in one or more of the individual Scrum teams.
Ah, okay. Dual role sometimes.
Can be. And then one or more Nexus Integration Team members. Now, these members are often existing Scrum team members.
Pulled from the teams doing the work.
Often, yeah. people who have the necessary skills to actually help resolve those tricky integration issues.
Now that sounds like the NIT has quite a bit of clout. What happens if a Nexus integration team member gets pulled in two directions? Say, a task for their own Scrum team versus a critical cross-team integration blocker.
Good question. How does Nexus handle that conflict? That's a really critical design choice in Nexus. When those priorities conflict, their NIT membership, their work for the Nexus integration team actually takes precedence over their individual teamwork.
Takes precedence. Wow.
Yeah, it's a deliberate design. The thinking is that those inter-team dependencies, if they're left unaddressed, they'll bottleneck all the teams eventually.
Right, the whole Nexus grinds to a halt.
Exactly. So giving NIT work priority ensures the flow of value for the entire Nexus is maintained. It's about the system, not just the individual team.
Okay, that makes sense, even if it might feel counterintuitive to a team member initially. So once we have the right people in place with clear accountability, Nexus then adapts the familiar Scrum events, right?
Yeah.
To orchestrate collaboration across these multiple teams.
That's right.
How do these coordinated activities make sure everyone's marching to the same beat? And maybe what's the biggest mental shift for teams who are already comfortable with just standard Scrum events?
Yeah, the mental shift question is a great one. I think the biggest shift is constantly thinking beyond your single team's boundaries.
Looking sideways, not just forwards.
Exactly. Always considering the cross-team implications of your work. So Nexus appends events, places them around existing Scrum events, or sometimes replaces regular Scrum events entirely. But it's always augmenting them for the scaled environment.
And always with that Nexus Sprint goal in mind.
Always aiming for that overarching objective. Okay, let's look at the key Nexus events. First, Cross-Team Refinement.
Tackling dependencies proactively.
Yes. Remember those communication breakdowns and hidden dependencies we started with? Cross-Team Refinement is Nexus's direct weapon against them. It's about untangling the knots before they become showstoppers.
So it's ongoing, not just one meeting.
It's an ongoing process, yeah. Its explicit purpose is to reduce or eliminate cross-team dependencies. It involves decomposing the product backlog so dependencies become transparent, identified across teams.
And then dealt with, moved or minimized.
Exactly. The guide says an adequately refined product backlog will minimize the emergence of new dependencies during Nexus Sprint planning. That's vital.
Okay, so refinement flows into Nexus Sprint planning. How's that different?
Nexus Sprint Planning coordinates the activities for all Scrum teams within the Nexus for that one sprint. The results are quite specific. It produces a Nexus Sprint goal.
Aligned with the overall product goal.
Correct. Then, sprint goals for each individual Scrum team that align back up to that Nexus Sprint goal.
Nested goals.
Kind of, yeah. Then, crucially, a single Nexus Sprint backlog. This is a composite of all the individual team backlogs.
Making dependencies visible.
Absolutely transparent. And finally, you still have the individual Scrum team sprint backlogs. But that single Nexus Sprint backlog, it's more than just a combined list. Think of it as the live shared map of everyone's journey for the sprint.
Showing where paths cross.
Precisely. Yeah. This visible map forces dependencies into the open, letting teams address them proactively and not get blindsided later.
Okay, what's next? Daily Scrums.
Yep, the Nexus Daily Scrum. This is attended by representatives from the Scrum teams. Its purpose: identify integration issues and inspect progress toward the Nexus Sprint goal.
So it doesn't replace the Team Daily Scrum?
No, absolutely not. It complements them. The Nexus Daily Scrum surfaces the broader integration challenges, the cross-team stuff.
Then the teams deal with their part.
Exactly. The individual team daily scrums then focus on addressing the issues raised that are relevant to their specific work for the day.
Got it. And reviews.
The Nexus Sprint Review. This one replaces the individual Scrum team sprint reviews.
Replaces.
Oh, yeah. This event is where feedback is gathered on the done integrated increment from stakeholders. It's a holistic review of the entire integrated product, not just Team A's bit or Team B's bit.
Makes sense for reviewing an integrated increment.
Right. You discuss progress toward the product goal, adapt the product backlog based on that holistic feedback.
And finally, retrospectives.
The Nexus Sprint Retrospective. This plans ways to increase quality and effectiveness across the whole Nexus. It inspects how the sprint went regarding individuals, teams, interactions, processes, tools, and importantly, its definition of done.
So it's a Nexus-level improvement focus.
Primarily, yes. But the individual team retrospectives still happen, and they complement this. They use their bottom-up intelligence.
Here's that phrase again.
Yeah. They use that to focus on Nexus-wide issues they observed, bringing those insights up to the Nexus level retrospective.
It really sounds like transparency is just woven through everything here.
It has to be.
So moving into the artifacts and their commitments, how does Nexus use these things, the backlogs, the increment, to really solidify that transparency?
Transparency is absolutely paramount. Like you said, it's woven through. Nexus extends Scrum with 3 specific artifacts, and each one has a commitment tied to it to reinforce empiricism and transparency across the whole group of teams.
Okay, artifact number 1.
First, there is a single product backlog for the entire Nexus.
Single source of truth.
Yeah.
Non-negotiable.
Absolutely non-negotiable. It has to be understood at a level where dependencies can actually be detected and hopefully minimized. Its commitment is the product goal.
The long-term objective for the Nexus.
Exactly, providing that singular direction for everyone.
Artifact 2.
Then we have the Nexus Sprint backlog. As we mentioned in planning, this is the composite of the Nexus Sprint goal, and all the product backlog items pulled into the individual team sprint backlogs.
The shared map for the sprint.
Right. It's used to highlight dependencies and the flow of work during the sprint. Its commitment is the Nexus Sprint goal.
The single objective for this specific sprint.
Correct. A single objective for the Nexus, representing the sum of all the teamwork and their individual sprint goals. It creates coherence and focus for that sprint.
And the third artifact.
Lastly, there's the integrated increment. This represents the current sum of all integrated work completed by the Nexus towards the product goal.
All integrated work, so potentially shippable.
Potentially, yes. It's inspected formally at the Nexus Sprint Review, but crucially, the guide notes it can be delivered to stakeholders before the end of the sprint.
Emphasizing continuous delivery capability.
You got it. Its commitment is the definition of done.
The DoD. Always important.
Critical in Nexus. It defines the quality and measures for the integrated work. The Nexus Integration Team is responsible for establishing and championing this DoD.
The NIT owns the baseline DoD.
Yes, and all Scrum teams must adhere to it. Now, individual teams, they can have more stringent DoDs for their own work.
Stricter is okay.
Stricter is okay, but never less rigorous than the Nexus DoD. This ensures a consistent baseline of quality across the entire product, no weak links.
That raises the question you mentioned earlier, why all this intense focus on transparency?
It does, and it's because, as the guide itself states, decisions made based on the state of artifacts are only as effective as the level of artifact transparency.
Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Pretty much. Incomplete information will inevitably lead to incorrect or flawed decisions. And when you're working at the scale of Nexus with multiple teams,
the impact is magnified.
Considerably. So this isn't just about visibility for visibility's sake. It's about illuminating every corner of the development process so there are no dark shadows where problems, dependencies, integration issues can lurk and grow undetected.
That insight is really vital for you, the listener, to understand why these details, these artifacts and commitments matter so much at scale.
Absolutely vital.
So let's connect this to the bigger picture. There are lots of frameworks out there for scaling product development. How does Nexus really stand out? What makes it unique? And maybe what should someone consider if they're thinking about adopting it?
Yeah, it's a good question. Where does it fit? What's fascinating here is how Nexus positions itself. It's remarkably lightweight compared to some other scaled frameworks you might encounter, like, say, SAFe or maybe less.
What's overhead?
Generally, yes. It's really ideal for organizations that are already proficient in Scrum. They get Scrum, they do it well, and now they just need to scale coordination without introducing really heavy, sometimes bureaucratic overhead.
So it keeps that agility they already built.
Exactly. It's about maintaining that agility rather than fundamentally changing the game on them.
Okay. But beyond just a core framework, what else should people think about for implementation?
Right. There are always those practical considerations. For example, for you to really get this right, specific training and certification can be important. Scrum.org offers Scaled Professional Scrum, SPS, with Nexus training.
Training helps. What about tools?
Tools and practices are pretty essential. Think about using dependency boards, physical or digital, just to visualize those cross-team dependencies. Integrated backlog management software can help a lot too.
Makes sense.
And as we touched on, something that's pretty much non-negotiable for Nexus is continuous integration and automated testing.
CI/CD pipelines.
Absolutely crucial for maintaining that ever-important integrated increment. You can't manually integrate 9 teams' work easily or frequently.
True. Are there common pitfalls people should watch out for?
Definitely. One big one is over-reliance on the Nexus Integration Team, the NIT.
Becoming a bottleneck itself.
Exactly. While it's essential for integration, if the NIT becomes the sole place problems get solved, the individual Scrum teams lose their autonomy, and that bottom-up intelligence Nexus champions can just wither away.
So it's a fine line. Enabling versus controlling.
A very fine line. The warning sign is when individual teams stop proactively identifying and resolving cross-team issues themselves, and they're always just waiting for the NIT to tell them what to do or fix it for them.
Gotcha. Any others?
You also absolutely need to stay disciplined with that cross-team refinement. Regularly refining the product backlog to prevent dependency buildup is key.
Because if you don't,
if refinement is neglected, Nexus Sprint planning will just become a chaotic mess of unforeseen issues popping up everywhere. It undermines the whole predictability.
And what about really big initiatives, more than 9 teams?
For those very large initiatives, the guide does briefly mention that multiple nexuses can be linked together through something called a Nexus Plus structure. But that's really a topic beyond the basic guide we're covering today.
Okay, something to explore further if needed. Now, that warning about the NIT becoming a bottleneck, it makes me think about how people adopt frameworks. This raises an important question for anyone considering Nexus. Can you pick and choose? Can you just implement parts of it?
It does raise that question. And the answer, according to the guide, is pretty clear. Nexus is immutable.
Immutable, meaning?
Meaning you can't change its core structure or rules. The guide explicitly states, although implementing only parts of Nexus is possible, the result is not Nexus.
So it's a complete system.
Exactly. It's designed as a holistic framework. The parts work together, they reinforce each other. This means for you, the listener, a partial implementation, cherry-picking bits and pieces just won't yield the full benefits.
You won't solve the scaling problems it's designed to address.
Very likely not. You need the whole system, the accountabilities, the events, the artifacts, the underlying principles working together to effectively manage that complexity at scale.
Okay, that's a really crucial takeaway. Don't treat it like a buffet.
Definitely not a buffet.
So today, we've taken a pretty deep dive into Nexus. We've looked at how it extends Scrum, doesn't replace it, to manage those inherent complexities and dependencies when you've got multiple teams delivering a single product.
Yeah, and it really hammers home that need for empiricism and transparency, but specifically at scale.
Providing that pathway to predictability, really, through empowered, bottom-up problem solving.
Exactly right. Nexus provides a structured, yet still quite lightweight path to ensure that even with 5, 7, 9 teams, you can consistently deliver a valuable integrated increment.
Fostering collaboration and accountability along the way.
It's about making sure your orchestra isn't just, practicing in separate rooms.
But performing a coherent symphony together.
That's the goal.
We've unpacked how Nexus offers this path to clarity and focused delivery, even with all those teams involved. So as you reflect on this deep dive, here's a final provocative thought for you to consider.
Considering how often complexity in organizations is kind of instinctively met by just adding more people, more process, more layers, Nexus really reminds us that true scaling often comes from the opposite direction. It comes from simplifying the connections between teams and clarifying those dependencies.
Simplifying connections.
Yeah. So the thought is this. What might simplifying connections and making dependencies explicit look like in your own work or in your own organization, even if you're not explicitly using Nexus today? Where could you illuminate some of those dark corners to prevent problems from lurking and growing?
If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share it, with others who might benefit too. To learn more about product management and digital marketing, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.